For those of you, and I would suggest to you that you are in the minority, no offense to you, but for those of you who are tiring of the subject, I'm proud to note that this is the last long-form discussion over the efficacy of the Education Freedom Act, because it has passed the House, it has passed the Senate, and it will get to the governor's desk, where it will no doubt be signed very quickly. To speak on these matters, to talk about the actions of today and the culmination of the special session, we welcome back Representative Scott Cepicky.
Hello, Scott. Good evening, everybody.
I didn't realize that you had not seen the new digs, huh?
No, I did not.
How about that?
I'm pretty impressed.
My one request was, can you get Cepicky a little further away from me when we had these visits? And we accomplished that.
It's no longer cozy.
Well, you gotta give a little something up for television. We got to get the camera away from me, is what the deal was, right?
But I'm far enough away from your hair where it's not going to bother me.
And I know. I'm telling you. I'll help you. I got a telephone number for you. I pick on you because I know you're in a good mood.
Yes.
I mean, you have been an advocate for this. I understand that there's a percentage of the listening audience that doesn't like it, that don't think it's going to be effective, but it is what it is. And for those that were in favor of advancing this, I know it's a big day for them. It's a big day for you.
Absolutely. This is one of the Governor Lee's key pieces of legislation. I've been working on this with the governor for 2 years. Speaker Sexton, Lieutenant Governor McNally, and others in the House and the Senate, that we truly believe that this is going to transform and help public education across the state of Tennessee by giving parents the ability to control the educational outcomes and direction of their students. It is another arrow in the quiver of education. We will continue to focus on making our public schools as great as they can be. Trying to get more of a reflection of what you see in the day-to-day operations and structure of private schools. Try to bring that more into the public school day with teachers more time to teach, more discipline, more physical activity, making sure we take care of cell phones. But now the work begins on the school choice legislation, is the rule promulgation. How are we going to make this work? How are we going to get people the ability to apply for it? How are we going to make sure the money starts flowing? And then you saw what President Trump did yesterday. He tweeted about grants for the states for school choice, which now we got to see how that's going to factor in to help reduce the cost to parents and reduce the cost to the state when it comes into these scholarships.
Do you feel, some were telling me that, and look, I understand and don't begrudge people having different positions on this issue. And I understand that those that felt strongly in their hearts that it wasn't the right direction are probably smarting a little bit today as it was handily passed. Even with certain Republicans. Do you feel like that can become fairly quickly water under the bridge? I mean, you want to believe that you can work with your Republican colleagues, that things do not get personal. I think this got close to being kind of personal. I mean, there were a lot of emotions toward the end, right before the vote.
That's correct. There were some members who went all in against this bill. They spread, I'm going to be honest with you, they spread a lot of falsehoods up there. A lot of these people, these special interest groups, that were against it were spreading mistruths all over the state of Tennessee, to the point where myself and others were having to go behind them, like we come on the air and talk about, no, what's the language? What's in the bill? Not all the stuff you've heard about Arizona and Florida. What's in the Tennessee bill? Because that's what we do, is we make policy for Tennessee. We've looked at other states with their shortcomings, and we've come up with fixes for those. And then we looked at how we want this to look like in the state of Tennessee. And I think when all the dust settles, Matt, when this thing starts to get implemented and we start to really get into the nuts and bolts of it, I think what the people of Tennessee are going to see is now we have another avenue for kids with special education, kids who want a better opportunity, kids that are in failing public schools. They have an outlet for that. And then the public schools now, they're going to have the same amount of money with less students so that they can lower their class sizes and focus more on educating kids.
So what's next for those parents who want to take advantage of this? Is this happening next school year?
So what you're going to see is you're going to see a rollout here pretty quick. We will have to secure a vendor for the ability to create an online application process. Private schools now are going to have to figure out what their application window is going to look like, because they want to make sure that they have full classrooms in all the private schools. And so I think over the next couple months, if you'll be paying attention to the Government Operations Committee that's chaired by Justin Lafferty, Representative Lafferty, All of how the nuts and bolts of this is going to be put into use is going to come through that committee, and when, that committee will have the ability to make sure that the rules meet the intent of the legislation, so that we can get this thing off the ground seamlessly. And then, like I said, we already have the money put aside for this to make sure we can pay for these scholarships, and then start to get the academic success that we've seen with the educational savings accounts for Nashville, Memphis, and Chattanooga. Now start to see those opportunities open up for all the children in Tennessee.
Was this, you mentioned that this is an arrow in the quiver. Mm-hmm. And I understand when you're trying to sell it, you sell the benefits. I mean, this has to be in combination with helping public schools get better for us to see measurable success in the state of Tennessee, obviously. This is not, in and of itself, the solution.
No. It's just like I said, it's another tool in the tool belt. We passed the Literacy Success Act to go back to phonics and education. We passed a third grade retention bill to say, hey, we are serious about these kids knowing how to read by third grade. We brought back summer school. We brought back tutoring. Now we're looking at, okay, what are the distractions in the classroom? Now we're going to go after cell phones during instructional time. We know that all the data suggests that we have neglected our elementary school children by taking away recess from them. We're going to go after a bill that I'm running to increase recess to 1 hour a day. 1 hour out of 6.5 hours.
All right, hold on a second. So we got to talk about this.
Sure.
So for those who have not heard about your piece,
yes,
that we'll take up in the General Assembly, tell everyone why you think this is important and why you think it will improve education for the state.
Oh, absolutely. So on recess, the main factor there is you're dealing with, a kindergarten through fifth grade, right? These are children. And studies have shown across the country unequivocally, and nobody can debate this, that children have the ability to probably focus at that grade level for about 40 to 45 minutes at the most. Mm-hmm. Some of these classes that we're doing right now for reading are 2 hours long. So we're getting quantity, but we're not getting quality. How do we get quality? All the statistics show is if you take a break and let the children go outside for maybe 30 minutes, run around and play. Free play, Matt. Not structured PE, but free play to socialize on the classroom or out on the playground. It teaches them how to work with their classmates, right? You have lower discipline problems. You have lower mental health problems. And you have better academic results. Well, to me, those are three winners for us.
So, are we going to have some monkey bars? Are we going to have, like the big silver slide?
Well, when we grew up, we had monkey bars. And I don't know if the attorneys would like that right now.
Remember that contraption as we were back there. Weber, you might remember. You're about my age. Remember that contraption that just was a large metal mesh,
like a dome
thing,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was just begging for broken arms underneath it.
Yeah. Well, the one I grew up with.
Can we get that coming back, Cepicky?
The one I grew up with was, remember the merry-go-round that you had to hold on to with dear life before it threw you off at 100 miles an hour?
Oh man, Coach Powell, boy. Oof. Coach Powell went 5th grade. Coach Powell, Pine Creek Elementary.
Yeah.
If Coach Powell came out on the playground, we begged him to come over and he would sling you around the merry-go-round till kids were like, oh, so good. So awesome.
So we're going to get back to those kind of things. And those are things that are starting to transform public schools back into looking more like they used to be, right? Focusing on getting the kids exercise, getting their mental health in order, making sure that they are tired enough so that we don't have to do 2 hours of reading. We can scale it back to get quality.
And so this would, so the specifics of the legislation that you would want to require an hour of recess, K through 5.
Each day.
Each day.
Yep.
Any pushback?
A little bit. Some of the districts are talking about, well, how we're going to do it because, now get this, because the state recommends 150 minutes of reading every day. Recommends. Doesn't say you have to do that. Mm-hmm. That's quantity, right? What we want to start to look at is let's get quality education going where the kids are focused, they're ready to learn, and we can accelerate the learning curve for them.
Look, I'm all about burning off excess energy at that age and the socialization that involves. Let me tell you, the memories that I have of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade.
Sure.
I understand I learned things, and I understand that, those are the kind of things that, are now by rote, but I remember recess. I remember the socialization. I remember that's where you made friends. Those things are important. We're kind of losing that.
And that's the other part of the legislation is banning cell phones during instructional times. Back in the day when I went to school, You know what high school was? It was high schoolers sitting around discussing ideas with each other, defending their positions and sharpening each other as they debated each other. Now we got kids that are sitting in classrooms staring at their cell phones all day. We're going to get those cell phones away from them during instructional time. Now we know that during an emergency, they have to be able to have access to get to them, right? But during instructional time, there is no reason for them to have the phone in their hand unless they're special ed or an IEP or the teacher says, "Hey, we go get your phones because we're going to look up X, Y, or Z."
It's not a perfect. I mean, because I could come up with any number of ways where kids could defeat the system.
Oh, sure.
It's not a perfect system, but it once again is another one of those arrows that gives a teacher the ability to say, you're not supposed to have your phone. Your phone's supposed to be over here.
Yep.
And right now, there's really not a standard process to make sure that the teacher has that ability, I think.
And that's correct. And if you look at all the data, it says children will have better opportunities to learn and enhance their cognitive functions if you get them away from their screen time. And then the other two things we're going to go after is testing. We still think we test way too much in public schools. We're going to go after that. And then we're going to look at teacher evaluations. Matt, I've been doing this for 6 years. And if you ask me, can I explain to you how we evaluate our teachers? It is so complex and convoluted. We're going to come up with a simple solution. We're going to get the Department of Education with the State Board of Education. We're going to get a bunch of principals and teachers in a meeting room. We're going to come up with some good ideas, and then we're going to bounce them off ideas around the country of who does it really well. And we're going to come up with a better system for our teachers.
Keith writes in, this is an interesting idea. I know you love the idea factory that the super text line becomes, but says, what about, how about food choices in the school system? Is that a consideration? If you're talking about overall, holistically looking at how we're doing, how we're educating our kids, I think that's a piece of it.
You're right. So if you look back at the Obama administration with Michelle Obama, she put all kinds of restrictions on lunches in public schools. We throw away so much food because the kids don't want it, right? So now you get to a point is, okay, yes, we need some freedom from the federal government. This is where President Trump comes in, right? We need some freedom in the federal government to determine what is good and nutritious for our kids that they're willing to eat every day. So that kids who maybe don't eat very much, we know every day we're going to give them something that they're going to consume. And I think that's the freedom we need from President Trump in the Department of Education is to say, keep sending us the money like you have been for lunches, but let us determine what's best for our kids so we're not wasting so much food.
Can you ask Scott, before he goes, why Justin Pearson originally voted yes on the bill?
I think deep down inside, I think Mr. Pearson
he knew
is a closet Republican, and he's trying to possibly be deceptive to the people in Memphis, but he knows the Memphis city school system is struggling mightily, and that's the truth now.
That's good. I know you've got your tongue in your cheek a little bit on the Republican side, but Sexton tells me that it's the plan that the state's going to take over the Memphis system.
We are working on language right now that gives the Commissioner of Education the ability, if a district is not meeting their academic rigors and maybe management practices are poor and maybe the comptroller says we got some problems down there, that would give the Commissioner of Education the ability to take over a district.
Real quick before I have to go, on that issue of state looking at local control, are members of the General Assembly looking at the Metro Nashville school system, looking at Antioch High School at all?
Yes, we are.
With regard to the leadership of Adrian Battle?
We are. I've talked to some of my Senate colleagues about putting together a joint task force between House and Senate and holding hearings about exactly what happened in Metro Nashville, and to make sure that we are acting in the best interest of protecting these children with the money that the General Assembly has provided in the hundreds of millions of dollars, Matt, to make sure that our schools are safe.
Look, a big day for those of us who believe in parental choice. Congratulations to all of you that worked very hard to make this happen. I know it's a big day for you as well. Congratulations on chairing that committee, too.
Thank you very much.
Was that your first opportunity to hold the gavel there?
Well, in a big chairmanship, yes.
Hey, Cepicky's head seems a little bigger today, doesn't it?
It's the hair.